guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Shelly, and today I want to talk about my celiac diagnosis and the signs and symptoms that I had when I first found out. So let's get into it. So I first want to say that this is just my experience. I'm not a doctor by any means, and I just am telling you what happened to me. And a lot of people actually don't have symptoms of celiac, or their symptoms are completely different than mine were. So I'm just going to tell you what happened to me. And basically I was diagnosed 9 years ago. Yeah, wow, that's crazy to think. 9 years of gluten-free. So my symptoms kind of started off when I was younger than 9 years ago. I am 28 now. I was diagnosed when I was 19. And basically when I was in middle school, my fingers started swelling really badly, like really badly. I couldn't even bend them, like they'd be stuck like here. That's as far as I could bend them. And we couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I got tested for a wheat allergy because I didn't really like having bread. Like I wouldn't pack a sandwich for lunch. Like my mom would pack my sister's sandwiches and she would just pack me hot dogs or like lunch meat because I didn't want the bread. But I would enjoy like garlic bread or like orange chicken, like crap like that. But I wouldn't like prefer bread, and so my mom thought maybe it's a wheat allergy. And I got tested for all these allergies and nothing. I wasn't allergic to wheat or dairy or anything other than cats and dogs and trees. So that happened and we just kind of let it go because we went to several doctors and no one could figure it out. And anyways, years go by and this still keeps happening. So then it was my senior year of high school and I ate out a lot because I just got my license, and you know, I would eat Del Taco, Panda Express, Taco Bell, like those Foster's Freeze. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. But basically I would just eat terribly and I never felt like good, obviously, and my fingers would keep swelling so bad. And I was on the cross country team actually. And so anyways, I stayed a pretty healthy weight and I was also running like in a lot of miles. Like I was running a minimum of 5 miles a day up to 11 miles a day. And still eating like crap. And I justified it as, oh, I'm running all these miles, I'm gonna eat like crap. And that's like, I guess when you're young you can get away with it, but not really, because I was having such terrible inflammation. And anyways, fast forward, I went to culinary school because I'm a pastry chef, but not anymore, but we'll get into why. I went to culinary school to be a pastry chef, and in the last quarter of culinary school, throughout all of culinary school, when I was 18, I lost a significant amount of weight. And for reference, I'm 5'9", and my normal weight in high school was maybe like 125, 128. And I was down to like 105 pounds. And I was eating, so I was trying to gain weight, and I had diarrhea all the time. And then when I was in culinary school, the classes were 5 hours long, and that were the cooking classes, and then you had like sit down learning the business side classes, and those were 3 hours long. And the chefs, like, they felt bad for me because I had to keep rushing to the bathroom like several times. I couldn't make it through the class because I had terrible diarrhea. And so finally, actually at the time I had just started dating my now husband. And so my now mother-in-law, she thought she had celiac, but she ended up having a gluten allergy. She got tested for celiac and it was negative, but she was like, maybe you have a problem with gluten, you should get a celiac test. And my mom was like, there's no way you have that. And like we went to the gastro doctor and they first said it was IBS. This like got really extreme and nothing was helping me. And then I had to ask for the celiac test. So we asked because my now mother-in-law was like, you gotta ask for it. So I asked for it, and the doctor, when he saw me, was like, you look fine, you know, you're fit and you look great, and I don't think you have this, like, you look great. And I was just like, I have diarrhea like 10 times a day. Something's wrong with me. And so I was hoping that it wasn't celiac, obviously, because I'm now in culinary school to be a pastry chef, right? So flash forward a week later, they took a blood test, which is the first step. The blood test was positive, like highly positive. And I got the call and I had just ordered a Belgian waffle and ate it. And I was sick. Like, I was just sick all the time, but like, of course, that is a lot of gluten. So they called me and I had just ate this whole Belgian waffle and they told me, don't eat gluten anymore, you know, you're positive for celiac, but we need to do a biopsy to make sure this isn't a false positive. So I had to do an endoscopy and a colonoscopy at the same time. And basically it confirmed when you have celiac, basically what happens is you have a bunch of villi like that stand up like this in your intestines, and when you have celiac they go like flat and damaged, and you don't digest things properly. So either you have constipation, a lot of people have that, or you have the opposite like me and you have bad diarrhea and lose a bunch of weight. So yeah, some people, the people that get constipated, they gain a lot of weight when they don't know that they have celiac. So basically that's how I ended up finding out, and it actually took, so then after that, sorry to switch it up, but after that, they watch how your level goes after you go gluten-free, your IgA. And like there's celiac markers pretty much. And when you're gluten-free, those markers should go negative because those antibodies aren't fighting gluten anymore. So if you're gluten-free, if you have no gluten in your system, you shouldn't have any antibodies fighting. So my level never went completely to negative. It was always like in the mid-20s, and then, you know, I was doing a lot better though, but still having like hiccups. Like there were things that I thought were gluten-free that weren't, and I just was like, oh, that must be gluten-free, and I just eat it. Now I'm not like that. But yeah, I used to just be like, oh, whatever, this gotta be gluten-free, and like totally just assume and make myself really sick. I used to do that a lot. Or like use the same pans as my family. So like it was like this whole transition. My mom made a separate drawer for my food. So like I knew that this whole drawer was gluten-free. I had to get separate pans, separate like everything, separate toaster because of the cross-contamination, separate utensils, all the whole 9 yards. So anyways, fast forward now, I've been celiac 9 years and still I was testing positive, like a week positive. Flash forward all these years later, I have stomach issues on and off still sometimes because people mess up. I don't eat out much at all, really, like ever, because of all the mess ups. But anyways, I ended up getting another endoscopy to confirm that everything was okay, because I never was like testing fully negative. And so we established that mid-20s, like low 20s was my like normal for the celiac level. And basically recently I got tested and my level, if you didn't see my other video, was like 32. So anything under 20 is negative for celiac. Anything over from 20 to 30 is like a weak positive. Over 30 is a strong positive. So my level was 32 like a few weeks ago. And that was because of some cross-contamination with seasonings going on. I tested them, they had gluten in them. So anyways, you can watch that video, the 5 things that have hidden gluten in them. But yeah, so it's been a long journey. It's been 9 years. And through the whole thing, I had an in-home bakery. I still have all the permits and everything, but I'm not currently doing business. But basically, I did that for 5 or 6 years after I graduated, and I was getting sick from breathing the flour, not eating anything, just from the mixer going and it blowing in the air. And so then I figured that out pretty quick. And then I was wearing a mask. This is before COVID, like, and masks were a thing. I was wearing a mask, and I was wearing like a N95 and then another mask over that. And I was still getting sick, and it was getting on my clothes. Like, the doctor was like, you don't think about it, but the dust gets on your clothes and then you're breathing it when you change. And then, it sits in the air for hours. I forget how many hours it was that the doctor said. So yeah, I ended up then I was only selling gluten-free stuff for a while. And then my sister, who was special needs, she got very sick and she had stomach issues herself. And I cared for her, and that became like a full-time job for me. My mom needed my help, so I stopped baking because I couldn't do the baking and caring for my sister at the same time. I just did that, and I haven't been in business baking since. It's just a struggle. Maybe one day I'll get back to the baking. If I did, it would be keto stuff. I've thought about it. If you guys are interested in that, comment down below and let me know. I have some really good keto recipes. Right now I'm on the carnivore diet, but yeah, my journey has gone a long way. I was gluten-free for a long time. I mean, I've been gluten-free this whole time. Then I was diagnosed with lupus in 2018. So I went keto, and obviously gluten-free keto. And my level for lupus, my dsDNA went from like 370 or something into below 200, like negative, as if I didn't have lupus anymore. And so that was crazy because the doctors I was on hydroxychloroquine and I was pretty much bedridden, and that messes with your stomach. Also, I was doing terrible, and then I started researching like what can help with lupus because I had terrible like joint pain in my wrists and my arms, and I found the keto diet. So I tried it, and yeah, that was where everything started. And that was like me not even doing strict keto. Like, I wasn't counting carbs. I was only like, oh, I know almonds are low carb, I'll eat however many almonds I want. Oh, I'll like salad, I'll eat as many salads as I want. Lunch meat, I'll eat as much as I want. And I was just avoiding like chips and like potatoes and things like that. I was still having fruit. I was having smoothies. So I wasn't necessarily, I feel like I was low carb, really. I say keto, but I feel like it was low carb. And then I had my daughter, and through that pregnancy I was not keto and I was not low carb, and I gained a bunch of weight, and I was so swollen and feeling terrible. Even after, so backwards a little bit, I got married. I had been keto and healed my lupus, keto, low carb, whatever. And then I go on my honeymoon to Hawaii, and we stayed at the Marriott, which is right next to Aulani. And so for gluten-free, it's really hard in Hawaii to find like not cross-contaminated restaurants that you can trust for gluten-free. And the last night we found that Aulani had a buffet and they did gluten-free. Well, if you have celiac, the catch was everything was contaminated. So the chef said, you can order anything you want. It was like all you can eat buffet, and I'll make it fresh for you. Like, you won't get it from the buffet, just tell me, I'll make a list of everything you want. And so I had been like keto, low carb, and then I just like went crazy and was like, I'll take spaghetti and they were like, oh, do you want sourdough bread with that? Like a gluten-free. I was like, yes. So I ordered that. They had chocolate cake. They had like prime rib. They had salad, French fries, cheese fries. Like, I ordered this whole spread and I tested everything with my NEMA sensor and everything was gluten-free. And anyways, that was the night before, that was our last night. And I had bought new like Vans tennis shoes to wear, like, or not to wear, well, obviously to wear, but I had bought them on our trip, like when we first got there. And I was gonna wear them to the airport, and my feet were so swollen from eating all that crap that my shoes didn't even fit me anymore. If I can find the photo, I'll insert it here so you can see what happens when you go from super low carb to eating anything and everything. And even in the hotel room, I like had Cheetos and those, you know, those Hawaiian Host caramel nut, the macadamia nut chocolates. I ate like a whole box of those. I was just like, girl, I should never do that again. Anyways, I pretty much just like ate terribly my whole honeymoon and swelled up so bad. It took like probably a week for the swelling to go down. I got home, went back on keto, and then flash forward a year later, I got pregnant with my daughter, and the same thing. I was just like, I was so nauseous. I was just like only eating gluten-free tater tots and gluten-free chicken nuggets and chicken and rice soup. That's it. And that was just me making it here at home. I wasn't eating out. But yeah, and chips and like crackers. I was just like carbo load from the beginning of the pregnancy. And then I was so swollen that I had to wear compression socks every single day. And I know that's normal with like pregnancy to swell, but like mine was really bad, and I was eating gluten-free bagels every day, which that's like so many carbs. Basically towards the end of the pregnancy, I was like, I knew that I needed to make a change because I was so swollen. I started off at 135 pounds, and when I had her, I was 170 or 180 pounds. So I gained, 45 pounds. And basically, like, even packing my hospital bag, like, I knew I needed to go keto. So, like, my hospital bag had, like, grain-free granola bars, beef sticks, like. So I ended up switching straight to keto when I got home with my daughter, and I was breastfeeding. She had a hard time latching, so, well, I had to use a nipple shield from the beginning, which I don't know if that was my first mistake, if I should have, like, tried to do something different, but the people at the hospital were like, your nipples are too flat. So I think that affected, like, her sucking to tell my body to make more milk. But anyways, I ended up having a milk supply issue on top of me going low carb. I feel like as soon as I did that, like, my supply was down. And so by the time it was like 12 weeks or 11 weeks, no, at like 8 weeks I had to stop. I was trying to pump and pump and pump, and I was just like gonna pass out. I was eating low carb, pumping like crazy, not getting a lot of milk, not getting any sleep. And then I told myself, I was like, I knew on keto I couldn't keep pumping. Like, the transition was not right for my body. I think had I been keto like the whole pregnancy and transitioned, I would be fine and make enough milk. Like I see several moms that are keto or carnivore, and they have a huge supply, but they were like that the whole pregnancy, and I wasn't. So that huge switch on my body was just not smart of me. I don't know what I was thinking. But I knew for more supply, I had to eat more, like I knew I was gonna pass out if I didn't eat carbs, pretty much, from me pumping so much. So I went back eating carbs for a few weeks, and then I was like, no, I need to just stop pumping, and because I needed to focus on my own health. I couldn't take care of the baby if I was gonna pass out. So I knew keto, low carb was like the way I was gonna feel better. So that's what I did, and then I wasn't losing any weight, and I was like, what is wrong with me? You know, I'm eating less than 20 carbs a day, and I'm not losing any weight. And basically, long story short, I ended up being diagnosed with hypothyroidism, and I was like so constipated. I had no energy, and by then my daughter was sleeping through the night, so I should not be passing out at 5 p.m. Like, I knew something was wrong. And so yeah, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. I was doing keto. As soon as I got on the medicine for that, immediately I didn't have a constipation problem anymore, and I started losing weight quickly, because after I had my daughter, I was down to like 150, and then I couldn't lose any weight at all from 150. And so then as soon as I went keto, I pretty much lost all the weight pretty quickly and was back to 135 or whatever when I started. And then the medication, I don't like the medication. So if you see my other videos, I was trying to get off the medication, switch to natural desiccated thyroid. But prior to all this, I saw a bunch of people did carnivore, and they got off their meds for hypothyroidism. So that was my whole motivation from the beginning to start carnivore. And anyway, so I was like, I need to change. Don't want to do this. So I like committed to it full force carnivore, and I didn't cheat not once for like 3 months until then, when I was trying to switch my thyroid hormone to natural desiccated thyroid, so yeah, the goal always was to get off the tyrosine and the natural desiccated thyroid. And so if you watch my other videos, I did beef and butter for a week only, beef, butter, and salt. And that was an attempt. I was like working with a naturopathic thyroid doctor, and basically my dosing was way too low. I was listening to the naturopath doctor, but then I had to work with my doctor here, because the naturopath doctor was in Italy, and she couldn't prescribe me anything. So I still had to get approval with my regular doctor, who doesn't support carnivore at all. Anyways, I have this whole story, videos on this, but basically I ended up getting pregnant, which I believe was from carnivore, because it was like, I knew that there was a possibility, but I thought it was very slim with my daughter. It took 6 months of like actively trying, and with this it was like just happened, like. And so anyways, flash forward, I got pregnant, had a miscarriage at almost 8 weeks, and now Christmas happened, like the sadness from the miscarriage led me to eating some carbs, and basically I've been back carnivore now, the last 5 days, like strict carnivore, and I plan on doing that until I get pregnant again. So I'll keep you guys updated on that, but that's basically how my journey has gone. Gluten-free to keto to not keto to keto again to carnivore now. And I will say, if you're just diagnosed, just keep your head up high. I know I felt like it was like the end of the world when I was diagnosed, because I was like, this is my whole career, like, what am I gonna do, you know? And you think like it's gonna be difficult and you're not gonna have any fun and this and that, and that's not true. You just have to plan ahead now. You have to bring your own snacks now, and just you have to be aware of what has gluten in it and what doesn't, and who you can trust and who you can't trust. And it will be challenging, but you'll get through it. I got through it, and I was the biggest junk food junkie you would know. So if you're watching this, I hope that this video was helpful, and I wish you the best of luck on your celiac journey if you're diagnosed. And if you're not diagnosed and you have diarrhea all the time and bad stomach pain and you're dizzy and you're just having no energy, you have brain fog, go get a celiac test and just rule it out so you don't have to worry, because celiac going undiagnosed is very dangerous. It's very serious. I actually have a cousin who passed away. She had celiac disease and it was undiagnosed for a long time, and she ended up getting stomach cancer, and so she passed away. And had she known sooner, maybe things would be different. So definitely go to the doctor and at least rule it out and get checked. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe for more gluten-free, carnivore, keto videos. And I'll see you in the next one.